County Board of County Commissioners regular meeting for Monday, October 28th, 2024 at 6 p.m. We'll have the prayer by Commissioner Taylor and the pledge by Commissioner Seth. Would everybody please rise?
Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to be here, for the help to be here, Lord God. Help us to lead with wisdom and discernment tonight, and with compassion. Help us to make decisions that affect the county as a whole for the best. And we just thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody here tonight. A few things to go through. Just for record, Commissioner Whidden is not here tonight. He's excused. We have any amendments to the agenda? What's that?
I have none.
None? All right, public input on non-agenda items. Anyone wishing to provide public comment, please file a comment card on the table at the entrance to the commission chambers. Please note all comments on non-agenda items are limited to 3 minutes and/or the board's discretion. And with that, we will move right into public comments. First, I got Ms. Kate Adams.
How you doing? Thank you. I'm here on behalf of both the Friends of Glades County Parks and Florida Trail Association. We'd like to ask the Board of County Commissioners and County Manager to consider amending the current street addressing ordinance so that the ordinance could provide for a special circumstance category or the definition in the defined terms of the current ordinance to be updated to allow for vacant land to receive a street address. There are 4 different categories that we're interested in seeing street addresses being assigned to, but currently the way the ordinance is written, that's not possible because of the defined terms. We have one county park, at least one county park, Van Swidden, that cannot be addressed because it doesn't have a building, it doesn't meet the criteria. We have several boat ramps that it would be nice to have a street address, primarily for safety reasons, but also for navigation, for people who are using these places for navigation, meeting other people on the trail or at a park. In many, many cases, we have section hikers who do the Florida National Scenic Trail. They use the boat ramps as a parking area for day use section hiking. We have people who go to Fort Center and they'll cross over to the trail. The boat ramps, the trail access points, and the county parks are all places that are widely used for recreation, and everybody doesn't feel comfortable using GPS coordinates. They might not even have a strong cell signal, and there are certain circumstances where it would be nice to have a street address at these properties. Maybe one idea that we had is if the county manager and you agree, all that's required is either changing the definition or maybe creating a specific category for publicly accessible lands where you don't have to worry about development and so forth. As a side note, I've had feedback on this topic from other people, coincidentally, in agriculture. There are many places where there's agricultural property that won't be developed, it doesn't meet the criteria, but it's accessible by a public road, and there are reasons that people have to go to those agricultural lands. Twice, we've had trail users on the Lake Okeechobee Trail take a wrong turn. Just one example, they ended up in a big field and we couldn't figure out a way for the trail angels to find them and get to them. There are all kinds of complications. But they were able to communicate, and had there been a street address assigned to some of these properties, it would have made the safety situation much, much better. If you'd like feedback from us or you want me to put any of this in writing with greater detail, we're happy to do that and work with you in whatever way you deem appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, didn't we discuss that one time about putting some street signs on some of those places out there?
Yeah, we had talked about signs, but she's talking about actual addresses, which I think would be great, especially with some of these places. Because they don't, I mean, even sometimes our 911 goes down and the people that are filling in don't even know where it is. So I think it's a great idea. We'll work on it. All right, next up is Mr. Stovall.
Commissioners. Richard Sobel, 2230 Silver Lake Road in LaBelle, Florida. I just wanted to ask the commissioners if they did get the email from Matthew Germain. Matt Germain sent all of you an email by providing the email address. He lives a stone's throw from where the potential mine is going to be. And he's lived there for over 30 years. Do you remember seeing that email?
I got it from somebody out there, I don't remember what the name was, but.
So please review it, and if not, I'll consent it to you again. Make sure that you have all your viewing address. You did receive it?
I did, but my computer, I'll be nice, and it went down.
Okay.
But yes, I did.
Okay. So, we know the sense. Please do review it. It's quite telling of a man who's lived here. He's owned and ran restaurants in LaBelle for over 30 years. He's lived in this area, and his property is actually, like I said, stone's throw from where the potential mine is going to be, and he's definitely opposed to it.
Well, do you have a copy of it right there?
Yes.
Let me have it, because. Thank you.
Right? Ms. Taylor, have you received it? If not,
Just send it to us all.
I'll
again.
send it again.
Yes.
That'll work.
That's basically what I want to say about this issue. I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of the message and read it, because it directly pertains to somebody who is going to be, I'm going to be affected, but this gentleman's backyard is going to be affected by potential mine. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the rest of these are all on lakefront. You guys wanna speak now, or you wanna speak on the lakefront item? You've got your choice. You wanna speak on number 2?
Both of them.
On both of them? You wanna go, Mr. Primero, you wanna come up?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, we're all gonna speak to the same issue. We can have Mr. Carlisle, Mr. Dobbs, start out. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Paul Carlisle with Lakefront Development, Buckhead Ridge. You know, I gotta tell you, staff's been great to work with. Mr. Spring's been great to work with. Been a lot of challenges with this project. It's been taking a long time to get where we are today. And I guess some of our challenges is basically these constant RFIs. We're up to number 5 now. And not that there's an RFI and there's not an issue with asking those questions, but now we're up to number 5. And that number 5 is it's really not substantive in nature, if I may. But what we're trying to look for is some end to this. And I can't thank Mr. Pringle enough. He's really talked about getting us through the process with the staff doing administrative approvals and getting us on the agenda for that. We're not here to complain. We think the county, everybody we've talked to has been nothing but great to work with. But we're getting constant requests for more information, and some of the conversations that are had are not always given back to the other members of the team accurately. You know how it is when you tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends, and they tell 2 friends. By the time it gets back to you, it's not really the same story. You know, I had made the comment that I thought we had a site plan review already done. That was my mistake. It was something that it was my understanding, but it found out not to be true. Mr. Pringle corrected that, rightfully so. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. But it's miscommunication in some cases. We're just trying to look for a way somehow to get joint information to you all and to us. Keeps us all accountable. And some of the things we talked about with our group is a weekly report from staff to you and to us about a checklist of items. Just an idea, just open to discussion. I know it's not a give and take. A checklist of everything that's needed, things we've supplied, things we haven't supplied. And that way everybody can look at that and we can make comments on it. And again, it's not about he said, she said. It's not about we're mad. It's just we're getting information that's sometimes not the same information back and forth. And we would like a way to have accountability on both sides, to say, these are the things we need, and if things change, it changes. And let's say this project's got, a long way to go, and we've gotta get going, our funding is in serious jeopardy. But with that, I'd like some ideas, or you guys, it's your decision to make, if we can have some type of weekly report, and we can all share it through email or whatever, that we can kind of checklist things off and make sure that we're following through on the things that because we're not, our hands aren't clean. We know there's things that we haven't done, but we think that having some type of checklist and some type of weekly report to the county commission and to us and to the developer, we would be able to better focus our efforts on that than getting this communication. I think clear communication is always key to getting these things moving forward. And again, I can't tell you how great staff's been. We're not here to complain. We're just trying to look for a way to move this thing across the final finish line. Thank you.
We're gonna discuss it. Anything else?
We can now, or we can wait till the end, but I have talked to Mr. Pringle, and I have talked to June, and I think that's a doable thing for us to set up some kind of list of expectations and some kind of timeline, and on both sides, so that we know where we're at that time. So, you wanna let them speak some more, you wanna say something?
Well, I agree with that, but, and then maybe a progress report, like you were saying, I think that would be good, to see where they are with those checklists.
I agree.
You wanna say something?
Now or later.
Well, take your points.
I can, I'll be glad, Mr. Chairman, in response to what Commissioner Sapp said. I mean, if you want me to wait until everyone says everything that they want to, this is public input. I can save my comments until the end of, public input and then try to bring it all together from my perspective. And then
That's fine.
give you the update that you're talking about, Commissioner Sapp. I'll be glad to do that.
All right, Mr. Romero,
Yes, sir.
state your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. John Romero, 901 South North Lake Drive, Hollywood. Good evening, commissioners, Mr. Attorney, Madam Manager, Clerk. I am the attorney for the applicant for Lakefront. And I think, as Mr. Carlisle has said, this is really about process right now. This development application, as I think all of you know better than I do, has been around for a few years now. And I believe that, and I'm hopeful that we are at that final stretch to bring this in for a landing. And this has been a rigorous review process, and it should be a rigorous review process. This is a large development that I think will have long-term beneficial impacts to this county and the surrounding areas, and Lord knows to the economy as well. It's beyond just the development footprint. The economic benefits will go well beyond the four corners of this project. So what we really want to focus on now is that home stretch. That home stretch involves a few things. Number one, phase one. Just phase one, for getting the development order with conditions issued for phase one. Number two, concurrently, getting the model homes, 5 model homes in the sales center authorized as soon as possible. I understand we're on the agenda for a planning and zoning board meeting that's upcoming, and we're thankful for that. Right now, I think accountability is a two-way street. My client needs to be held accountable and needs to be responsive to every single request made by the county and the Morris Depute review team that's working with your staff, Susan, June, and Mr. Pringle. But by the same token, I think having, as was discussed here, a weekly update, and I'm talking nothing fancy, I'm talking about one piece of paper on one side that says, this is what was issued, this is what was done, this is what's outstanding for the application to be rendered complete, and ultimately building applications to be issued so this construction can get underway. As I think some of you know, my client has spent millions of dollars thus far on this project in terms of preparing the area, the earth moving, site grading, things of that nature. We're ready to move forward. We want give you just one example. Last week, we received, they call it RFI, RAI, it's a request for additional information, happens all the time. By law, you're limited, counties are limited to 3. We're on at least number 4 and number 5, depending on how you look at it, but that's not what's important. I'm not counting RAIs. You need what you need. But if you look at the RAI that was issued last week, it in large part involves changing locations on plans, moving streetlights so they're a little smaller so they don't cover up something else. Minor details, a lion's share of that RAI could, and in my agree with you respectfully, should be a condition of the development order. Typically, and Mr. Pringle will tell you this because he's well versed in this, I've had development orders with dozens of conditions. I've had some with hundreds of conditions. I just did one in the village of Wellington, hundreds of conditions. Before a CO, you must do A, B, C, and D. There's always some last minute tweaks here and there. And all we're asking for here, we think the application is complete. We believe that the staff has all of the substantive information it needs to ensure that this application is consistent with the code and other county requirements. So at this point, we think that tweaking, that last minute crossing T's and dotting I's can and should be done as conditions to the development order. And with respect to the 5 model homes, I think we're on a process now to get that done. It's my understanding in talking to Mr. Pringle that really these are now going to be administrative decisions that are done by staff in terms of issuance of the development order with conditions. 8 weeks ago, we went so far as to submit a proposed development order with conditions to assist staff, because we know staff is busy. They've got other projects they're working on. So we will do whatever is necessary to get this project complete so we can move forward. The weekly report is a way to hold us accountable and the staff, which is only fair. Appreciate your time, unless you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Dobbs.
Steve Dobbs, 1062 Jakes Way. I have been an engineer since 1989. I have served at your leisure on the planning board for 12 to 15 years, a long time. And I have had hundreds of RAIs. And so, you know, and we had a meeting not too long ago amongst Morris Pugh staff, and you know, it hit me at the time, and I have heard that I offended some people. Okay, and if I did, I apologize. Let me tell you that offense goes both ways. Okay, I have served this county. People have on the planning board. Hey, we have an engineer here. I'm happy to do that. I feel like that's my way of giving back to the community. Okay, and you know, I have a very good relationship, I feel like, with you know, everybody involved. Mr. Franklin and I have, you know, done some tough things on the planning board. Glad to work with him. Got nothing but ultimate respect for him. You know, and what I said on the meeting was, I said, guys, look, I'm the only person on this call from Glades County. I'm the only taxpayer on this call from Glades County. And what I said was, we need to get this thing done. Okay, and when I say, and one of the comments that kept coming up in the REI was, we need to modify the water management permit. We need to modify the water management permit. And I'm saying this just to show you that some of these things aren't substantial. And so I tried to actually call the reviewer at the Water Management District who had issued the original permit to explain to him, you know, what was going on and all this kind of stuff. And so, you know, the team was like, Steve, just go ahead and modify the permit. So I did. Submitted it. The viewer calls me up and says, Steve, I understand why you wanted to talk to me. You know, you wouldn't talk to me because they're so busy, they just don't have time to have pre-application meetings and all this kind of stuff. So I say all that to say, you know, what I can tell you is the items that are in the most current RAI are, in my opinion, like the attorney said, they could be conditions of the development order. In my humble opinion, I don't work for the county. You know, I am a county, I'm on the planning board at your leisure. And, you know, I believe currently the county has in its hands enough information to issue the development order. So, like I said, that comes from 35 years of experience as an engineer. I've got a ton of respect for Morse Q, but again, we're down to minor issues that we're gonna work out. The other thing is on the cost, you know, and I know that there's been comments going back and forth. You know, we're currently up to, I think, about $30 million. Okay, so if we have a $30 million bond, Morse Q wants to look at ours, justify it. Let's say they come up with another $2 million that's justified to go in the thing. Great, we'll modify the bond, you know. But we're not gonna get the $30 million of exposure for the county within 6 months while they review the cost. You know, you have an opinion of cost by a registered professional engineer in the state of Florida, you know, and I think we can move forward on that. And that's what I'm asking for from staff, from the county commissioners. And like I said, my clients will be most appreciative. Again, we're not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. We're not trying to, you know, we just, like I said, we've got water management district permits, we've got DEP permits. You know, we just need to be able to move forward with the construction of the rest of everything else. So I appreciate your time.
Mr. Carlson, you want to speak now or at 14?
The bill commission at 14, please.
Okay. Any other public comment? I'll bring you and Paul back up at 14. Mr. Pringle, would you like to respond?
Yes, sir, I would. In response to Commissioner Sapp's question and to provide some perspective to all of the efforts that have occurred in this case to this point, we have a project that is, for Glades County, monumental. It is larger than anything that Glades County has approached in the past, to my knowledge. I've been around a while. We've gone through a number of steps, Commissioner Sapp. In fact, I was going to tell you later that tonight, the approval of this second version of the financial assurances agreement may be, hopefully will be, the final step the board has to take with relation to this development, unless there's further change of the development plan by the applicant that triggers an approval by the board later. So hopefully, in comparison to a football game, we are at the 5-yard line and we're very close to scoring. Well, of course, that's the time that everybody gets really excited. Everybody's been working hard to get to this point, and I agree with the suggestion that we need to bring this thing to closure. Just so you know, we have had several meetings, and especially with regard to now the model home center topic. So remember, someone else started this project. We got approvals, we went through all that process, and then that stopped, and then the property was sold. Then we had an amendment to the PD ordinance. There were substantial changes that occurred to the development program and the plan and the master concept plan. And then we had another amendment after that. That last amendment to the PD ordinance, Commissioner Sapp, just to put things into perspective, this matter has been going on for a number of years, but that second amendment to the plan development ordinance occurred in April. That was also the time when the financial assurances agreement was approved by the board. That financial assurances agreement, by the way, was not a standard financial assurances agreement form, but was rather something that was prepared in accommodation to the developer's request to use a unique form of financial assurance. So we did all of that, and you'll see in my agenda item summary that we have now addressed a new method of creating a financial assurance. The point of it all is we have done a substantial amount of effort. A substantial amount of effort to not only say this is a development, a normal development, and we will address development topics in the normal manner, but rather, in addition to that, have taken extra steps to accommodate the requests by the developer, the unique requests by the developer that on occasion have changed from time to time. And we have addressed those changes, and I think successfully. The idea that a model home center can be approved is an idea that even as long as 2 weeks ago we discussed, and at that time said, these are the things that you need to accomplish, and we will work with you to get those accomplished. One of those was they need a major site plan approval of the model home center area. That is a planning and zoning board decision. I hoped that it was going to be a minor, but it wasn't, and so it is what it is. And so we said, yep, it's a major site plan approval. It needs to go to planning and zoning board. I said the next planning and zoning board is in November. You need to get us an application. On a number of occasions I have said unequivocally, I cannot do anything without an application. Please give me an application. I believe, Commissioner Sapp, that is known, that is clear, there is awareness of that. And I believe the developer is going to proceed with all haste to get us applications. I haven't gotten the application yet, but I'm sure it's coming anytime. You know, it's been a couple of weeks since we talked about it, and I'm sure that they're going to have it to us any moment. And that's important because I've already noticed a public hearing to consider their site plan request, and I really need an application in order to proceed with that hearing and get the staff report done beforehand. But I believe, I really believe they understand the need to complete the applications. There were 5 items, 6 if you count the building permitting being issued, that needed to be completed in order for the model home center to be done. I pointed out to them that they need to get everything into phase 1, and Ms. Susan made it very clear that even in phase 1, that they could create a separate phase 1A part of phase 1, and that would enable them to develop the model home center before they finished all the infrastructure for phase 1, which is what I spoke with Mr. Ackerman about many months ago and said, yes, I think we can do that, but here's what we need. So I am very hopeful. I believe that we are on the cusp of having final decisions made by staff that will enable them to break ground and go vertical. That's what they've wanted to do for some time. And I think that can occur with the model home center. There at one point a little confusion on my part as to what the model home center comprised. The first plan showed more structures than the last document that we've received. the last set of plans that we've received. I think in the last set of plans that is consistent with what we were previously told, and I think everything's gonna work out pretty well. So it is my intention to stand in front of the Planning and Zoning Board and discuss this case at the November hearing, assuming we have an application, that we get that application any day now, then we ought to be able to get that done. With regard to the weekly meetings, that's going to be a bit tough to do just from the standpoint of coordination. Typically, the engineers and the planners are involved in those discussions. I'm not the one that has said, from an engineering standpoint, you need to provide us with additional information. That's not what I do. I also don't have, direct input into, especially related to the infrastructure construction, because that's what the development order deals with. The development order deals with infrastructure. How do we get the infrastructure constructed? And in this case, by the way, we've also said that you can go vertical with the model home center before all the infrastructure is completed for phase one. So there has been some recognition, some accommodation of that. We just need to be papered. We need to have that done in a sufficient manner, and then we will be in good shape. I think you have heard from the developer, and you will also hear from me that we have worked hard, all of us collectively have worked hard to get this matter to this place. It's a huge development. It is very important to do it. However, it's very important to do it the right way. And so it's not just a hurry, 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 but rather let's strike the balance between hurry, hurry, hurry and doing it the right way. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. And I think we have accomplished that. And I think we are very close to getting it across the goal line. There you go. I'm done. I'll take a breath.
Well, I appreciate everything you said and all the work that's been done. And whenever I mentioned the progress report, maybe you are getting them. I would just like to know where they are along. They could let us know if you sent out these 5 things to do, they've completed those 5 things or whatever. That's just
Sure. Oh, I can give you reports even in the board meetings as a part of my county attorney's report. But that's not the norm. Normally, the process is the engineers talk to the engineers, the planners talk to the planners, the lawyers talk to the lawyers. There are certain parts of this whole development scheme method that requires legal involvement. The agreement that you're going to see tonight is a good example of that. And this agreement is very important to the county because it provides the assurance, the financial assurance, that if something goes wrong and the county is required to complete some aspect of the project, of the infrastructure elements of the project, that there will be a funding mechanism for that. So from a legal standpoint, that is important. And so I have spent a great deal of time addressing that legal aspect of this agreement. But there are also engineering elements to this agreement. There's also some planning element. There's a requirement that the agreement, that this financial assurances agreement, is compliant with the developer's agreements that the developer signed off on and said, yes, we'll agree to do these things. Also has to be compliant with the PD ordinance, with the plan development ordinance. Also has to be compliant with the platting requirements of state law and other legal requirements of state law. And so all of that requires involves a considerable amount of management. And I have indicated, to the developers' representatives as well, that I understand that, and it's not even a county manager. There's some aspects of it that are legal that have to be managed by the county attorney, and I've committed to do that, to stay involved and to do those things. So I'm prepared to do that, willing to do that, and so I'll be glad to work with and have with Mr. Fumero do the legal aspects that need to be done. But in defense of Morse Pugh, there are engineering aspects that need to be checked off and reviewed. There are planning aspects. We passed a lot of the planning aspects that we need to do. We're beyond them. But there are a lot of the engineering aspects related to the infrastructure that do need to be checked off. And I understand lighting may not be everybody's most exciting point of discussion. But if you set the light pole on top of another utility that you need for the subdivision, then you're gonna have an inconsistency that's gonna make a little bit of a problem down the road. So the idea is address those at the beginning, look at those and say, don't think we can stack this on top of that. Let's separate them just a little bit now, and we'll all be okay. And then the engineers can go away and they don't have to be involved anymore. So I think we're doing some of those things at this time, but understanding that we're at the very end. Some of the first comments may have related to the provision of potable water, which is, that's a pretty significant aspect, or how to handle wastewater. That's pretty significant. And we dealt with those. So now we're down to the little things, the much smaller aspects. And I think we can get a model home center done, approval of a model home center done, separate and apart from these other issues. That was my intention to accomplish for the developer and as they have requested for their benefit. So we'll do that. But we're to the nitty gritty. We're to the most, to the last elements, I believe. And then hopefully all of us experts and professional engineers and planners and lawyers can get out of the way, but the building official approve what the building official needs to approve, which is vertical construction. That's what I think everybody wants. That's what we're planning on doing.
Okay. Do we have any more public comment? I would just say that I would still like to see a list of what the county is requesting, and maybe every meeting, we just bring that list up and say, what have you got? And so we know, and it's clear in front of everybody, yeah, we asked for 5 things and we still only got 4 or 1 or whatever, so then it kind of gives a checks and balance on everybody around that we are doing our due diligence, and it's, where is that? We can do that. At least everybody knows where we're at, so. Cause I feel like a punching bag up here. Beat up on both sides, but I know we're all working, we're trying to get this goal done, and it's very, the county wants to do right, and I know the developer wants to do right, but let's get it done, and let's get on with it, so. Any other public comment before we move on? All right, next one is presentation of awards. We have a presentation for Glades County Vulnerability Assessment.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Orlando Rubio. I work with Craig Smith and Associates. We are the consultants to present the Glades County Vulnerability Assessment. This is a state-funded grant under FDP grant agreement number 23 DLN 2011. By the way, our office is located in 1425 Executive Center, Deerfield Beach, Florida. With this, grant, Connie Bennett from, CES Governmental Services, is our grant manager. She'll be, helping us submitting deliverables to the state, for the, to perform this vulnerability assessment, and keeping us straight with all the documents that the state's requiring. So basically, this work is funded as part through a grant agreement from Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Office of Resilience and Coastal Protection, Florida Program. The views, some findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed here are those of the authors and do not necessarily respective views of the state of Florida or any other, any of the sub-agencies. They can say that. Moving on with the agenda, I believe you have, agenda items in your packet. Basically, this is our kickoff meeting, for the grant criteria. We have sign sheets, we have introductions, we're gonna do the project description, the project scope, how we're gonna acquire data, how we're going to, identify, critical assets, how we're going to, do an exposure analysis in terms of flooding, and perform a sensitivity analysis based on extent of the flooding. With that, there's gonna be, reports associated, with these deliverables, including GIS maps, that are required by the state. We will be preparing a vulnerability assessment report, report back to the team, and finalize it to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. So basically, the VA is a planning document that conducts an analysis of all kinds of critical assets with respect to adverse impacts from climate change and compliance with Statute 380.09 Florida statute. So your critical assets are defined as essential for government functions, national security, public health and safety, economy, flood and storm protection, water quality, wildlife habitat management, etc. So we identify and analyze the vulnerability and the risks of such assets. And these vulnerability assessments for the state, they're going to be required to be updated once every 5 years. And required for projects considered in this. If you're going to apply for funding for future projects, this VA is going to be very important to have. So our project scope involves doing a kickoff meeting. We have a sign-in sheet for everyone to sign. This presentation is also available for folks to look at. We're doing a VA now for the city of Moorhaven. We've been acquiring data, and we've been contemplating, helping the county out and doing the same thing. So we've been acquiring data throughout the process. In your packet, we collected a listing from FDEP and FD, Florida Division of Emergency Management, of what they list are critical assets. You can look at those at a later time. Staff has any more to add, feel free to add. Our team is going to be looking at these assets and going back to the state, picking up, finding where any gaps might be to populate all the maps of all the critical assets in the county. And then from there, we do the exposure analysis, which is roughly calculations to see where, how we're exposed to the 100-year flood of today and the future 100-year flood of tomorrow, 2040 and 2070, and the 500-year flood. And from that analysis, we do the sensitivity analysis, which kind of shows us, all right, this building may not be flooding today, but in 40 years from now, you might see 6 inches of rain inside the building because the rainfall is more intense. And from that, we prioritize the listing, in terms of flooding and the types of assets, put it all together in a report, send a draft document to the team for review, finalize it, submit it up to DEP with their requirements. As far as acquiring background data, we're looking for topographic information, the elevations throughout the county. We're gonna be looking at flood scenario data. We're gonna be looking at the current FEMA maps and analyze the 100-year floods of today and then 2040 and 2070. And we'll be using some of the as-built record drawings that we may have throughout the county through past permitting information to perform those analysis. So critical and regionally significant assets, they fall into 4 categories. There's transportation and evacuation routes, and critical infrastructure. You got community and emergency facilities, and then natural, cultural, and historical resources. So the transportation and evacuation routes, that's obviously your roads, your critical infrastructure, that can be your sanitary lift stations, your water plant, your drainage systems, things like that. Community emergency facilities, obviously it could be hurricane shelters, it could be hospitals, whatever serves a function for it in the emergency facility. Natural and cultural and historical resources, obviously that's where your parks, and any area that's been declared as a historical resource. And I think there is one in the county. So here's what I was saying earlier about the inventory that we've collected so far, and we're going to continue collecting more. We got transportation assets and evacuation routes for your airports, your bridges, your major roads, and marinas. Your critical infrastructure, you got your sewer lift stations, your water conveyance systems. You have disaster debris management sites. That's pretty critical to have. As far as community and emergency facilities, you have community centers you have to walk within, public shelters throughout the county. You have the county courthouse, you have the sheriff's office, detention center, parks, rec, public works facility. And then you have your logistical staging areas, which is in Lake County EOS, at the address shown, 1097 Health Park Drive. Then, as far as your natural, cultural, historical resources, we've identified 9 parks throughout within the city and the county. Shorelines, you have the Lake Okeechobee, Fish Eating Creek, Lusahachie River, 4 other sites. Historical, you have, again, this is in Moorhaven, the downtown district, but there is a residential district there that was being historic, so we're going to be mapping that with the state. Again, exposure analysis is basically like a hydrologic, hydraulic analysis, showing how high the water would get during a 100-year flood, and for future conditions in 2040 and 2070. From that, we assess the level of flooding for all those assets that we map, see how they're exposed, documented, so that we can plan for the future in case we need to do anything with those assets, like either elevate them and flood proof them, or provide more water management on site to account for the increase in rainfall. that's done, we put all this information together, put it in a report, put maps together, GIS maps compliant with FDP requirements. We will be using a consultant for our GIS mapping. We're using him for several of the VAs that we're doing throughout the client. That's pretty much it. We have identified the project team, which involves CAS, CAS Governmental Services, Connie Van Ash as the grant administrator. The Board of Technical Consultants is our GIS consultant, headed up by James Barton and his staff. And in addition to the team, we have the steering committee, which is the recommended personnel, which is Ms. June Fisher, the county manager, Susan Buchan, community development director, Archie Branch, public works director, David Taylor, human resources, Marissa Shiver, Commission Management Division, Angela Snow, public safety director, Lake County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff David Harden, Wayne Portal, Leslie Smith. And we're gonna have Larry Tibbs as city of Morehead manager, and Matthew Rose, Morehead city. Again, this is a preliminary list. We can update later or add team members as we see fit. With that, I'm
So this is a statute that's required by the state for us to do this, we have to do it, right?
Well, the preface for this grant was to be able to get funding for any projects that are identified in the analysis. If you didn't do the analysis, you would not be eligible for any grant funding to fix anything. So and this is out of the Resilient Florida Department of the FDEP. So, and after each task, they kind of build on the report. So, this is the first task, so this would be the chapter 1 of the report. And then the next, gathering of the data, that's task 2, that'll be another report. And each task gets built on, and they get submitted to DEP as we go along. Once everything is 100% completed, each task, DEP sends out a letter of acceptance. Task 1 has been approved, it's 100% complete. So they'll give us a letter saying that. And then each task that's completed, then we can submit a reimbursement back to DEP. And that's how they've been working. And then and after each task report is available or complete, we meet, the team gets together, virtually is fine, we can do it that way, or at the commission meeting, you can see the report as it keeps coming along. Or we could do it just virtually, however the county wants to do it. So that's the reason for the vulnerability assessment. It would be, it's an avenue to get additional funding for anything that's identified as, they'll do a low risk, a medium risk, or a high risk. Whatever is identified as high risk, as in the vulnerability report, you'll be able to go after funding for.
So infrastructures and transportation would be roads, and it doesn't matter, I mean, we're fighting washout roads on the west side of the county constantly right now because of excess of water. So is that something you guys will look at in the study? And US 27's flooding water all over the place down there, but hopefully still will address some of those issues. But we have a lot of drainage in the county that goes across private land, and it's not even owned by a government agency or something. And eventually we're gonna have some kind of drainage plan put in this county so that we can go clean those ditches when people's houses are not.
Right, yeah, you're not alone in that, because, we've done a master plan for, say, Okeechobee County. And there's an issue there, back in the day, times were more friendlier.
Yeah, I understand.
And They dug ditches through private land to drain a certain part of Okeechobee. And now these ditches are located on private property, but serve a larger community. And, we're trying to get, the county to go there and obtain permanent maintenance and drainage easements, because they're maintaining it now, so might as well get a hold of them.
And some of the areas where a lot of people are here from now, there's no drainage in their neighborhood. It's a natural slough, and that's where the state says, well, that's the way it's gotta drain. But if we're gonna continue to get more and more rain every year, these people are gonna be suffering out there because of it, you know, the swamp gets full of logs, it doesn't drain like it used to.
Yes, it does, it will get worse.
But is that something that you will kind of look at while you're doing this study?
Yes, we'll look at the, yeah.
And Archie can tell you the roads that we have the problems with the most, that are blowing out on us and stuff like that, but.
That'd be very easy. Yes, very much.
Mr. Connie?
Is Brighton, where's Brighton mentioned in all this?
I don't, the Indian reservation is in our county, are they in part of this, or, is it right in Indian reservation? I see Red Barn on here, but I think that's on the reservation.
There's a small section that's.
I confirm with the state, but I figure it's federal land, so it's not county.
Yeah.
So, we can, I'll have,
Right.
that as a, the definition from the state.
They would be represented in the current, not represented. Why isn't it there, or just overlooked, or?
What's that? Because they're federal lands, it probably doesn't count in the state. I mean, the state can't tell them to do a resiliency study because they're federal, but,
Right, they're gonna get their own grant.
but he'll look into it and see if he needs to include it.
What's the full name, man? Brighton?
It's the Brighton
Yeah,
Seminole Reservation.
it's kind of big.
Yeah.
And all the water drains into our canals.
Is this a public hearing?
It's a public presentation, it's not basically a hearing, I don't think, but.
No, it's not a public hearing, but
Okay.
it's up to the chair.
But, this is just an initial presentation. When will you be back for, the best time, will you be coming here, or will this be like virtual meetings, or how are you gonna do that?
We could we'll be probably meeting virtually, with staff throughout the process. Our timelines go to 2025 or 26?
Yeah, June,
June 26th.
2026, yeah. Sure.
We'll probably be done before then, but, we'll certainly come back and, present the report, final, at least for the report.
And, well, hopefully, like maybe when you get halfway through, you come and tell us where you're at.
Yes.
What maybe concerns are, but if our rainfall is going to double over the next 10 years, we're gonna be in big trouble back there. We hardly handle what we got now.
Actually, it's 2025,
Okay.
March, so we need an extension.
All right.
Because we started.
Understood. Yes, it is increasing. It is increasing.
Any questions from the board? All right.
Well, thank you for having.
The next is number 2, request to proclaim the week of October 25th, November 2nd, 2024 as Mobility Week. I'll read this into the record. Okay, it says proclamation, Glades County Board of County Commissioners, Mobility Week, October 25th to November 2nd, 2024. Whereas Mobility Week is a cooperative effort by the Florida Department of Transportation and its partner agencies to promote awareness of safe multimodal transportation choices by hosting an annual collection of outreach events, and whereas Mobility Week is an ideal time for counties, cities, and transportation agencies to highlight transportation achievements roll out new initiatives and or implement new policies promoting multimodal transportation. And whereas Mobility Week is an opportunity for individuals to explore how various active travel choices like walking, biking, riding, transit, or carpooling reduce traffic congestion and can be an excellent alternative choice. And whereas since inception, more than 1,000 Mobility Week events have been held statewide with over 500,000 safety materials to improve safety of people. And whereas during Mobility Week 2023, over 220 workplaces and 1,030 record among almost 18,000 trips through carpool, vanpool, biking, transit, walking. And whereas Mobility Week is consistent with Glades County key priorities of community engagement, is at the forefront of our efforts with Mobility Week, as we invite residents to participate in activities that inspire sustainable transport habits. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Glades County Board of County Commissioners that we hereby issue the proclamation designating the week of October 25th, November 2nd, 2024 as Mobility Week in Glades County. Issued this 20th day of October 2024. If I get a motion in a second.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the proclamation which proclaims the week of October 25th through November 2nd, 2024 as Mobility Week.
I second it.
I got a motion by Commissioner Taylor, second by Commissioner Sapp. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. All right, we have no public hearings. Move on to our consent agendas, which is number 1, county warrants for 10/8/24, county warrants for 10/28/24. Federal Equitable Sharing Fund DOJ request. Number 6 is the local law enforcement trust fund. Number 7, approve the minutes of the September 9, 2024 special meeting. And number 8 is approve the minutes of the September 23rd, 24 special meeting. And number 9, approve the minutes of the October 7th, 2024 special emergency meeting. Yeah, a lot of special meetings.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I'll need to abstain from voting on the Taylor Electric and Air Conditioning bill items on county warrants 10/28/24, as I am related.
Which bill was it? On Taylor Electric?
Taylor Electric.
All right, can I get a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda.
So I got a motion by Commissioner Sapp, second by Commissioner Taylor, with Commissioner Taylor abstaining from all bills from Taylor Electric. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. All right, public input on business agenda items. Anyone wishing to provide comment on an agenda item, please fill out a comment card at the table at the entrance to the commission chambers. Please note all comments on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes and/or the board's discretion. Our business agenda is number 10, adoption of county holiday schedule for fiscal year 2024-2025.
David Taylor, HR Director. So every year we bring the holidays to you guys. So our official holidays are Veterans Day, which is Monday, November 11th. Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, November 28th. The day after Thanksgiving, Friday, November 29th. Christmas Eve, Tuesday, December 24th. Christmas Day, Wednesday, December 25th. New Year's Day, Wednesday, January 1st. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Monday, January 20th. Memorial Day, Monday, May 26th. Independence Day, Friday, July 4th. Labor Day, Monday, September 1st. The Chief Judge, J. Frank Porter, made Good Friday his discretionary holiday, which means all the courts are closed. Last year we had 1 board employee in the courthouse and a sergeant.
I can attest, I was the 1 board employee. I was the only person in the courthouse, and Alvarez, who was the security supervisor, was here because security wasn't scheduled for that day, so the supervisor actually came in. So there was nobody else in the courthouse except for me.
And Good Friday is on Friday, April 18th. So it's up to you guys if you want to close on the Good Friday.
I think all the other county offices, supervisor elections all closed down on Good Friday too, so I don't see why we can't do it.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the adoption of county holiday schedule for fiscal year 24-25, including Good Friday.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Sapp, second by Commissioner Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. Number 11, request approval of budget amendment 24-25-03 and corresponding resolution 2024-23 decreasing the budget of the transportation fund related to the return of the LOGT funds to the city of Moorhaven.
Good evening, Tasha Morgan, Finance Director. As you indicated, this budget amendment is decreasing the board's fiscal year 24-25 budget for the portion of the funding that was appropriated within the budget related to the city of Seabreeze, gas tax.
City of Moorhaven.
Sorry, city of Moorhaven's gas tax, funding. That check, the board did approve that at September 23rd meeting, and that check, has already been returned to the city. So this budget amendment is just, reducing the board's budget to remove those funding dollars out of the budget. It does have a, resolution with it.
Okay, and the resolution says the resolution of the Board of County Commissioners and for Bates County, Florida, authorizing an amendment to the 2024-2025 Bates County Transportation Fund budget. So,
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the budget amendment 24-25-03 and corresponding resolution 2024-23.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Taylor, second by Commissioner Sapp. Any discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Sapp?
Yes.
Myself is yes. Commissioner Goodman is absent. Okay, move on to number 12. Request approval of budget amendment 24-2504 and corresponding resolution 24-20. No, this says 24. Increasing the budget of the general fund and E911 fund related to grant funding received by the Public Safety Department.
So at the time that the, county had went through the fiscal year 24-25 budget process, there was a number of grants in the works that had not been awarded, at the time that the budget was approved. So this budget amendment is, appropriating that funding into the current year budget. It hits the general fund and the 911 fund. Within the general fund, there are 3 grants, that the county has accepted. They've all come before the board previously, in the form of grant agreements. This is strictly just the budget amendment to move the funding into the budget. It includes the EMS matching grant for stretchers, the EMS county grant for chairlifts, and a PPE firefighters grant. And then within the 911 fund, there was a grant for a PSAP upgrade that was approved as well.
It looks like there's almost 200.
Yeah. The increase of revenues is all grant funds. There was a match on the stretchers, but that had previously been budgeted. So this budget amendment is strictly increasing the revenues to recognize the grant funding within the general fund for $199,998.89. And then within the E911 fund, the budget's increasing $38,325.48.
I'll read the resolution number 2424 Glades County, Florida, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners in Fort Glades County, Florida, authorizing an amendment to the 2024-2025 Glades County General Fund and E911 Fund budget.
Chairman, I move to approve budget amendment 24-25-04 and corresponding resolution 2024-24.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Sapp, second by Commissioner Taylor. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Commissioner Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Sapp?
Yes.
Myself is yes. Commissioner Goodman is absent. All right, number 13, request to award the bid for County Road 74, FM number 436657-1-54-01 from 2.5 miles east of Fire Tower Road to State Road 29 to 8 at Jack's Paving Industries of Florida, LLC.
Yes, sir. We did advertise for an invitation to bid. We did receive bids on August 23rd. In the packet, you will see that AIM Engineering has provided a recommendation to award that bid to Ajax Paving. We are considering paving the paved portion, closing part of 74. The contractor believes if we do that, he can get it done quicker, and it will actually cost less, so therefore we'll be able to actually do more of 74. So we're looking at that consideration. They're weighing how much we can do if we actually close a portion of that road. So if we do, I will make sure that the board is aware, the dates of that road closure. So, but right now they're just considering it and weighing the options. But we would like to ask that the board approve this award to Ajax Paving so we can get moving on this project.
If the closure would be for days, or?
It would be for days.
It wouldn't
yes.
be just like at night or anything like
Right.
that?
That is correct. But if they do choose that, I will get you the duration of the closure and exactly where and when.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the award of the invitation to bid to Ajax Paving Industries of Florida LLC for the County Road 74 Road Improvement Project FM 436657-1-54-01 in the amount of $4,192,583.14.
I got a motion by Commissioner Sapp, second by Commissioner Taylor, and just for the audiences, this money is being funded through the state through our Stop and Scrap program. It's not coming out of our road money personally, but it's through state money that we had requested many years ago. Did you want to speak, Mr. Sobel?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask something. You're going to spend $4.something million on the road that's going to have more truck traffic on it, and what about our roads?
Well,
All the
this,
roads in the county.
yeah, I understand, and actually, we're gonna ask the legislature this year to see if we can turn this into a state road.
Okay.
But this was put in the system probably 10 years ago. And now it's just coming up, but it is a county road, that's why we have to take care of it. Anyway, I got a motion by Commissioner Sapp, second by Commissioner Taylor. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. All right, number 14, Lakefront Estates, developer obligations required improvement, construction, and assurance agreement. We've been waiting on this for a long time.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, if I may. This is hopefully, as I talked earlier, related to Lakefront Estates, this is hopefully one of the final steps, final actions that the Board of County Commissioners will be required to take with regard to this case, unless there are further modifications or changes that need to come back before you. We hope and believe this may be the final action the board needs to take. This is the second version of the financial assurances agreement for Lakefront Estates development project. It is now called the developer obligation / required improvement construction and assurance agreement. Without me even telling you, I'm sure you figured out a lawyer wrote that title. The lawyer also wrote the agenda item summary. That's why it's 2 pages long instead of 3/4 of 1 page long. The background and detail is there. The developer, as I indicated earlier, Commissioner Sapp, the developer asked for a different form of financial assurance agreement to be used initially. We went through the process of negotiating that and preparing that. And you all actually approved that. The board actually approved that other form of financial assurances agreement in April of this year. Then more recently, I think it was in maybe July, or I think it was in sometime in July. There was a request for a new form of financial assurances agreement to be used, which did not include the developer's bank or lender as a third party to the financial assurances agreement, and instead to replace that provision with a security bond arrangement, where the developer will purchase a security bond to cover the responsibilities that they have under the financial assurances agreement. So after that request was made by the developer, we went through the process of preparing and negotiating terms of a new financial assurances agreement that would provide for the financial assurances to be given by a security bond type of an arrangement. This is a substantial matter for the Board of County Commissioners to consider. The project, as you know, even as early as earlier this evening, we've discussed the enormity of this project and the substantial impact of this project on the county. As a result of that substantial impact and enormity, it is important for the county to have security with regard to the developer's obligations to construct the infrastructure for their project, so that those exposures for construction of infrastructure are not financially a burden to the county in the future. So that's the primary purpose of this agreement. And then, of course, the lawyers took that simple concept and made it a lengthy document. And that is what is before you this evening. The exhibits, there's still some information related to the exhibits. The last engineering opinion of probable cost, in order to know how much of a security bond is required, the engineers, the experts prepared for the developer through New Lines Land Consultants a summary of the opinion of probable costs of the phase one of the project. It includes, as you can see, 3 elements. The first element is on-site improvements. The second element is the water main coming to phase one, and the third element is the wastewater treatment facility, which serves phase one. The total cumulative opinion of probable cost for phase one prepared by the developer indicates a total opinion of probable cost for the infrastructure of $40,674,182. In addition, and separate and apart from that, is, and this was done, this opinion of probable cost was done before much of the discussion related to the model home center, that being a separate element of phase 1A, if you will, as Ms. Susan refers to it, of the project. That is not a part of this opinion of probable cost. And in the last conversation that we had with Mr. Fumero, with Attorney Fumero and his office, we talked about the fact that we could show that opinion of probable cost for that element as a separate item, so that the county will be protected. I don't have that yet, but the plan was to have that as a second page of the opinion of probable cost exhibit, so that that number is there. And that really is the first and foremost and most important part of the opinion of probable cost, because that's the first part of the vertical construction for the project that will occur, is for that model home center. So we need to get that tied down and valued. In any event, this amount of the probable cost, or the opinion of probable cost, is substantial and will cover the vast majority, should cover the vast majority of the cost, even related to the majority of the cost related to the model home center construction. Remember, there's gonna be vertical construction there as well. That will be out of the normal sequence, because it will all be built before the infrastructure is completed for phase one. The water main will not be installed, as an example, at the time. The wastewater treatment facility will not be installed at the time. And we've been talking about how to enable the developer to have the public invited to the property, to the model home center, without all of those, without water, without potable water mains being constructed, without the wastewater treatment facility being constructed first. So we're trying to get that done. But those are all questions that we will have to work out. But this 40 million plus opinion of probable cost for phase one is a substantial amount, is the vast majority of that opinion of probable cost amount, we believe. The agreement that is before you this evening will be not only for phase one, but will be for all 4 phases of the project. The opinion of probable cost that is before you is for phase one only, and as each phase comes along, there will be a new opinion of probable cost for that phase, for the future. So what we really need tonight is if the new proposed agreement is acceptable to the Board of County Commissioners, then we would need the board to say that you approve this new form of an agreement. And do we have a schedule for completion of the and we would have to, so you would approve the form of the agreement that is before you this evening. You would approve, and what we would need to do is, if the form of the agreement and the concept is acceptable, then if maybe the board could also authorize the chairman to approve the final schedule of work for the phase one infrastructure, because I don't have it yet, and then also the final opinion of probable cost, not to be below this $40 million number, but to include the additional element for the phase 1A for the model home center. If you could give that authority to the chairman, then he could make that final approval when I get the rest of that documentation in hand, and then he could sign the agreement. So that would be the motion, to approve this new form of agreement and authorize the chair to approve the final opinion of probable cost and schedule, and then authorize the chair to sign. I think that would be the motion.
So moved. I appreciate all that.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Sapp, but I think you actually have some public input based in light of that motion.
We will practice.
So, we have a motion by Commissioner Sapp, second by Commissioner Taylor. Then we have, I know I got two, Paul and Mr. Earlstein. Who wants to go first?
Very briefly. Yes, please, thank you. There's one piece that's missing that Mr. Pringle talked about. You've got a form agreement, but you have to have a number in it. And that's another issue, that the opinion of probable cost. We're in the $30 million plus range. And I think the issue there is that, our engineer has put his license on the line. He has submitted his estimate of probable costs. And several months ago, we have reorganized and reformatted they call the OPC 3 or 4 different ways, and broken it up 4 different ways, but the number is there. An engineer said, I put my license signed and sealed. What's happening now is that Morris Depue's engineer is saying, well, I don't know if that's a real number. Show me all the construction plans so that I can review them and see if that's a real number. You might imagine that's an enormous amount of time. And as Mr. Dodd said previously, we're hopeful that Morris DePew can accept what our engineer has certified. And if we have to come back, and I'll agree to a paragraph that says, if we're wrong, if we have to come back, I'll be here in 7 days to amend that agreement and change that figure. We'll do whatever it takes, because we're gonna build the project. That financial assurance agreement will never be triggered. We're here to build and sell homes. Thank you.
Carlisle?
He basically said what I needed to say, I don't need to drag it out any farther. I appreciate Mr. Pringle's work on that. We looked at his documents and I didn't have any issues, and John didn't have any issues with it.
State your name and address for the record.
Joe Pilstein, 1824 59th Street, Brooklyn, New York. I actually, thank you commissioners, thank you staff, thank you Mr. Pringle. I waited to speak the last because I wanted to make sure I could correct all the misstatements Mr. Pringle made, but everything he said is true. There's not much new to say. I actually agree on everything, and I just wanted to add, because most of our team, pretty much we're all aligned, I think we're all on the same page. But I felt that since I flew down from New York to be at the meeting, I wanted to personally make sure that the commissioners and, you know, the staff and Mr. Pringle knows that we don't take anything for granted. We really appreciate all the hard work, okay? And it's kind of, you know, as they say, good work gets rewarded with more work. And so the only reason if you feel ever that we're asking you is because you did such a good job until now, so you're the only one we can double down on. It's not because it's in the form of a complaint or saying we're not happy. I mean, I think I sat in your office a couple of months ago and I came down with Mr. Jeff. You pushed back on us. I don't know if you remember the line. You said things are not the way they're done on the East Coast. And we came out of your office and we went and we hired Mr. Carlisle. We hired John. We tried to make sure that we can adopt in a very respectful way to the Florida culture and especially to the Glades County culture. Okay? And so, some of the team has been some days very mean to us and they say that's not how it works now, and we say thank you. Because we want to make sure that this is not a two-sided operation over here. We're all on the same page, we're super excited, and we want to make sure it gets done. You know, unfortunately, the clock is not on our side, it's not us. I mean, if it would be us, we would be a little more lenient to wait another few months. Another thing, we're getting killed by the financial institutions which are having a hard time understanding what's taking so long. And we do appreciate, you know, one of the things we're waiting to say is, how can I help you? Tell us what we can help, and that's how the model homes came up. So we appreciate that. I do have to check with the team because for some reason we had it down that it was submitted application September 30th and amended October 2nd. So we can decide already to check what sorry?
Submitted on September 30th, amended on October 26th.
Yes, so that's what I had. So, you know, I think I stated several times, I don't know if it's relevant, but I want to say it for the record. If there's anything we can do in a way of, and I know sometimes we put pressure, let's say, as they mentioned, we're approving the financial insurance, it's a huge milestone. I know we have to work on OPCs, there's sometimes things get stuck on Morris DePew, just using that as an example. I'm not even sure what I'm saying, I just want to talk about the concept. If there's anything we can do, even out of your office, where sometimes, just because we're pressed for time, if there's additional people, sometimes we can hire and not put the burden on the county as far as payment. If there's a legal way which we can pay for it, we're more than happy to do it. Because sometimes it's having somebody, it's an engineer, or in your legal office, having an associate, it's a few $1,000s, which we're happy to pay for, versus we're losing millions every time we keep on getting more. Because we understand in a county of this magnitude that this is a huge project, and sometimes it's not feasible of getting it done monthly free, you know what I mean? So if there's anything we can contribute, we're more than happy to do that. So I wanted to make sure, you know, we understand, you know, the pressure. Another thing which came up several times, and I wanted to make sure we're clear on it, and I apologize, like Steve Dobbs said before. When we talk to people sometimes, I'm sorry messages come across wrong. I wouldn't be afraid, you know, as I said on the record, I'm from New York. If somebody in this county would have said anything negative to me or anybody in the staff or anything about the project, I would have spoken up about it. Everybody has been super nice, super friendly, super excited about the project, and that's never the case. And we talk to people sometimes, it's commissioners, sometimes, I wish I would have been able to talk to every Glades County resident. I was showing them how we want them to be comfortable, that we wanna be good neighbors. And sometimes we talk more of a way of like, we're excited, what can we do to support? And sometimes I feel like that message could potentially come across wrong. That's definitely not our intention. The only time we speak to people is just to see like an example we spoke tonight, it's like, you know, you're running, the legal aspect of this thing, and it's a big burden of making sure that you cover every legal aspect, right? But then you have the engineers where sometimes it's more of maybe the commission or somebody can step in and say, hey, maybe you need some more help, maybe you need this. So it's more in the frame of, you know, I look at this as one big family, we're partners in this. It's just as equally as important to Glades County as it's us, and it's just as important to us as it's the Glades County. And if either side is not happy, it's an issue. So if messages come across wrong, I want to make sure I personally come and say that we're thankful, we appreciate it, that's not our intention, it's just about seeing where we can help out. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to make sure we're all clear, we're excited. I would love to come with a calendar every month and say, you know, we're moving along, and I think I'm very excited about what the commission said about emails. It's not about I got you, or it's about somebody who's wrong. It's more about like, okay, let's just be on the same page, what we have to do. Maybe I gotta go back and beat up the team more, and I'm happy to do that. But it's just like, so we keep on knowing what's outstanding. And we have it's like a centralized thing, because sometimes we'll send things to the county, and they send it back to them. And I think you mentioned before about the light pole. It's not about the light pole, it's more about sometimes an issue like the light pole goes back to Mars and Pew and it takes 60 days, and it comes back with another count, it takes another 60 days. We're just trying to see how can we centralize it. We're not looking to cut any corners. We're just trying to see how can we centralize it. So thank you very much, and let's keep on bothering you until we cut the yellow ribbon, but in a positive way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sapp, second by Commissioner Taylor. Any discussion?
Well, I just wanted to say that I'm anxious for this to happen. Growth is good for Glades County, and this assurance agreement, it's a good thing. So that's one major thing that's accomplished. I do want to answer real quick though, we're down to the nitty gritty. Quoting Mr. Pringle. What does that look like, the nitty gritty? If we get this done tonight, that's a good thing. But to move forward, we need the OPCs. So down to the nitty gritty, what does this look like? We're gonna get weekly updates. You have any idea?
Related to the financial assurances agreement, or related
Everything,
to
just to finish. 'Cause
project as a whole? Because those are really two different
Just
questions.
like Mr. Yadel. He's willing to help us get there. Is there any way we can take him up on that?
Yes, ma'am. The,
If it'll get us to our goal, our finish line.
yes, ma'am. With regard, so I'll break it
Well,
apart.
and I didn't comment earlier, and I know we have the motions about this assurance.
The financial
The
assurance.
financial assurance
Yes.
agreement. So, yeah, we're in that. I can save my comment till later. We can finish this.
Yes, ma'am.
If
Well,
we-
if you want to do that, yes, sir, that's, Mr. Chairman, I'm fine with that. So I need to be able to sign the financial assurances agreement. I need that, the element, I need to have the discussion, I need to have the final element for the phase 1A, opinion of probable cost, extra element. I need to have that verified, confirmed, and signed off and
And can
agreed
we
to.
take the number that was provided?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I would take, so I would run, assuming the motion passes tonight, I would run one more time by Morris Depew and say, okay, the board said $40,674,182 is the opinion of probable cost for phase 1, not including phase 1A, but for phase 1. This is your last chance to say no to me, but I'm saying say yes, unless it's just really a terrible thing, because I've built in as much as I can protections for the county. If Morris Pugh came back and had a big problem, but he hasn't said that to me. I talked to Mr. Smith today. So I think this number as a basis for phase one, except for phase 1A, I think is pretty close to where we're gonna be. So I think that's the final step. That, and I just don't have a completion date. That was a second exhibit that needed to be attached to the assurances agreement, and I'm sure that will come momentarily. I mean, I may get that tomorrow. So if, with that, then we can proceed with this element and getting this done and over. And Mr. Ackerman, I'm sure, will go ahead and execute this one quickly and get this one done and get that finished. So yes, ma'am.
Sounds good. Chair, Mr. Chair.
Steve Dobbs, 1062 Dix Way, just want to clarify one thing. My understanding was it was going to be the opinion of probable cost minus what has already been put in the ground, because there's been an awful lot of work, millions of dollars worth of work already done.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. The agreement, Mr. Dobbs, I added some language that makes it clear that once the work that has been done is signed off on by somebody, whether that's the building official, whether that's DEP, whoever has jurisdictional authority over that aspect of the work, signs off of the infrastructure, signs off and says that is completed, done, and finished, then yes, sir, that can constitute a reduction. And there was a method, if I remember correctly, where at least twice a year, no more than twice a year as I recall, twice a year, that request can be made to reduce that. And that can be as soon as at the beginning that could occur. But not just because somebody says it's done, but rather upon the agency with jurisdiction saying it is done and signed off on and addressed. So, so yes, sir, so as-built are important, but again, if it's a water management, Mr. Fermero, I'm looking over my shoulder at you, talking to Mr. Dobbs, but to the extent that there is a pending water management district permit that addresses some of the construction of the infrastructure, if you're saying that work is done, water management district needs to tell us that is done. I understand. That's not me.
If I may, as the former general counsel of the water management district, that's not the way they do it. Because can you imagine, they issue thousands of permits a year. The engineer of record sends in an as-built that's signed and sealed saying, here are all the specifications, here are the grades, here are the drainage plans. And they sign and seal it, and the district accepts it. They don't go out and inspect it. Now, if there's ever a problem, and it's not as the as-built, this man is in trouble. And professionally and otherwise.
And as long as our engineer will say, okay, to that engineer, and I'll do everything I can to accomplish that. But they also have to check off on that. That needs to be checked off. It's not gonna.
It's not.
Please understand.
Yes. I agree, but again, respectfully, this is the issue we've gotten in. So he sends in an as-built. Here's the grade, X NGVD, and then someone from Morris Depew has to coordinate a site visit, drive out there from Fort Myers, and go and survey it and look at the topo and say, yep, he's right. That's the problem. Then you get it. This is a large-scale development. I know you've never done this before, but can you imagine the hundreds and hundreds of hours it will take for Morris Depew to come out and verify a development of this magnitude? That's precisely the problem we've gotten engaged in. With all due respect, you are entitled to have certainty that what was done to code and done to the specs and the PD and all of that, but that's why engineers sign and seal plans. That, because they put their occupation on the line. I guarantee you, this man nor any other PE that I know would ever sign and seal something. They're just not gonna put their livelihood at stake. So that's the issue. And Morris DePew, they're busy. Like you, like me, everyone's busy right now. It takes weeks to coordinate a site visit. And then they go out, they get data, and they shoot topo, and they got their surveyor goes out there to verify his surveyor. That's the problem. So respectfully, and I've already discussed this with Morris DePew, is that you should be accepting as-built, signed and sealed as-built. That is the protocol, because again, if we're building a house, you can do that. If you're building 1,000 houses, that's a lot of Morris DePew verification. So again, with all due respect, I think we're on the same page. We're just talking about how to get there. And I think again, for development of this magnitude, signed and sealed that. Have you ever seen an as-built? I mean, it's very detailed. For something of this nature, you're talking about hundreds of pages of signed and sealed plans. So just, again, it's because it's important moving forward. I think we're on a good path.
So to the extent then, Mr. Romero, that Morris DePew would say, yes, sir, absolutely, those as-built are sufficient for us to say, yes, that work is done and completed, and yes, we can reduce the security by that amount, then I'm not gonna stand in the way of that. But they need to, that Morris DePew, being the engineer of record for the county, will need to tell me that.
Yeah, if there's something deficient, then by all means,
Yes.
please, we want to hear that.
Yes.
But if it's a comprehensive as-built, then I think PE to P should say, done.
And I'm good if they do.
The code has outlined exactly what has to be done for the financial assurances and for it to be approved. I don't have it with me, in chapter 137-6, I believe it is, it talks about when, they wanna show that the development that they, or the improvement that you've done is complete. Unless it's, the code
No.
says something different, I just don't have that.
And that's incorporated
Yeah,
into the agreement.
and
So we're fine.
You know, and that's understandable because you pointed out this, never had a project of this magnitude, which is understand. We've had to invent forms. The model, you don't have a model home application. So Mr. Pringle had a great idea. He said, let's copy the one that Lee County uses. And we did. So, you know, I think the understanding is that there are things we're gonna have to tweak as we move forward because this is a great new era for Glades County. And hopefully you'll get more of these master plan communities and hopefully your tax base will go up accordingly. But, you know, sometimes we have to realize that the old mold may not fit where hopefully this county is going in the future. And we'll have to make adjustments.
But what is important to recognize is there is a process in place for that adjustment to occur at least twice a year.
Yes, sir.
And we can accommodate that process.
And
We have a
absolutely.
process to do it.
And I think Mr. Don's only point is we've got north of $3.5 million in earthwork there now. We wanna make sure that that's X'd out. And so how do you do that? Real soon, this man needs to produce an as-built that shows what has been completed to date.
Right.
So that we don't have to double dip, with bond. That's it.
And just so we have certification from DOT that they have accepted the turn lane and they have accepted the drainage across the 1.5 miles. So in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, we just need to give you that DOT. I don't know there's anything that Morris DePew needs to do at that point, since it's under DOT jurisdiction and they really sign off on that. Am I putting you on the spot? I don't want to put you on the spot.
I mean, I think.
Do I see you thinking so?
I think look, I don't think it's fair to put them on the spot.
Yeah.
I think the point's been made, I think we all understand, we'll act accordingly.
There's a process in place and make adjustments,
And
now it
as
is.
a lawyer, process is important. We all agree.
Absolutely.
Alright, any other comments?
I just think we ought to get on a conference call with Morris and Pugh, Mr. Pringle and us, so we're not buying a $40 million bond, there's only $35 million left to do the project. And make that be the number, I think we gotta bring that out of this town, out of here, and have a conference call about that.
And the motion included the chair having some ability to accomplish that.
Absolutely.
So I think I've covered that with that.
I'll try to get us out of here.
We already have a motion on the floor, I think we had a lot of discussion, any more discussion? So, take a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes 3-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I think this is a substantial item that you have, action that you've taken tonight. I mean, I really do.
Good.
So,
I'm excited.
you are further along with this project than you have been with any that I can remember
Down to the nitty gritty.
that might be comparable. So you are at the nitty gritty,
At the nitty-gritty.
5-yard line.
And I hope nitty gritty means to you, everybody what it needs to be. Let's get her done.
Just don't fail on fourth down.
That's right. Field goals are not acceptable.
Thank you.
Alright, number 15, setting a public hearing to adopt resolution for notification of county's intention to possibly impose a non-ad valorem assessment for fire services and or emergency rescue services. So this is kind of like a just to keep this alive, if we want to do it or not, because I know we are going to be having 2 more commissioners on this board coming up. So by the time the advertising and all this is over, they would probably be on this board, right?
Yes, sir. And yes, this will not, the public hearing will not occur until December. I have to notice the public hearing 4 times in 4 consecutive weeks in advance of the public hearing. So at the December day meeting is when the resolution will come before the board. This is not the first time that this has occurred. This has happened a number of years over time because the statute says, the statute that deals with non-ad valorem assessments about implementing non-ad valorem assessments, it says that before you can ever do anything to implement an assessment, a non-ad valorem assessment, you have to have this public hearing and you have to adopt this resolution. You don't mail it out or anything, but you have to adopt this resolution that essentially says that it is your intention to possibly, and you saw me use that word a couple of times, to possibly implement a non-ad valorem assessment. The board has taken this step and then not taken any other steps in some years. And in some years, the board has had a study prepared to indicate the benefit of the non-ad valorem assessment, and they've done that, and in at least 1 year, you got right to the final hearing, if I remember correctly, to the final hearing to implement the non-ad valorem assessment. So the county commission has run the gamut as to what actions you have taken, depending on the year, depending on the circumstances. But if you don't do this public hearing, you can't do anything. This either you do it
Just in case.
just in case, and you got to do it in December, or else the nitty gets gritty.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the setting of the public hearing on December 10th, 2024, and the publication of the public hearing notice on the possible initiation of the process to adopt a non-ad valorem assessment for fire and or EMS services in 2025.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Taylor, second by Commissioner Sapp. Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. I don't know why we didn't do it, but it would have been nice to put it on the ballot and let the people decide if they wanna do this or not. And maybe, I mean, we can still do it, it'd be 2 years, but it'd take us 2 years. And I can just see what, I mean, we got, like I say, we got almost to the end last time, and then all these people came in and screamed and hollered they wanna pay the $60 or whatever it was, and it failed. And I would hate to go through all those steps again and end up in the same position, whereas if we had the public's outcry voted in and showed us, say, all right, there's 80% of the people are for this, or there's 80% against, I think that would be probably the better way to go in the end, but we'll just figure that out. All right, moving on, number 16 is request approval of the renewal of the professional services agreement with McVicker Consulting Incorporated to assist Glades County with monitoring and the regulation schedule for Lake Okeechobee known as LOSA. I'll just give you a little, these are, they're scientists and more of them engineers, but they have been representing us all through LOSA. There are still meetings going on. They're still talking about the lake. This firm's only charging us $250 a month to, I mean, one lawyer, 1 hour is $250 anymore, but it's not just us. Okeechobee's doing it, Okeechobee City. I don't know if City Moorhaven's still doing it, but so as a pool, we can afford to have their representation because, I mean, he can represent us because when I went to these meetings and it's all graphs and numbers, and for you trying to figure out what the heck they're doing or how they're doing it, but the lake is way high right now, and there is some upcoming meetings. I'll tell you here in a minute. They're going to have one at the John Boy Auditorium. They're going to have one at the Scott Driver thing in Okeechobee. But this is the state's legislature gave money to Florida Gulf Coast University to do an ecosystem study on Lake Okeechobee and figure out what they got to do to make it viable again. So they're going to be taking public comment there that has nothing to do with this one, but the Corps of Engineers is still having quarterly meetings on the lake level, and they're trying to explain why the lake's so high and why they're keeping it so high. And I'm just putting it out there. I think it's money that we can drop out. The notice says in 30 days we can drop out anytime we want to, but I think he's doing us good. But it's up to you guys.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the renewal of the professional services agreement with Vicker Consulting, Inc., and authorize the chair to sign the agreement.
Second.
And motion by Commissioner Taylor, second by Commissioner Sapp. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 3 votes. I think, probably 6 months to a year, once they put these meetings in, we can be done with them and we live with the lake the way it is. All right, moving on. Constitutional officers. Do we, Ms. Bishop, or not, county? I don't see any other the sheriff's department have anything?
No.
County attorney. I know you got a lot.
I have spoken and spoken. Are there any more questions? I'll be glad to answer questions. Otherwise, I'll be glad to.
I think we're good. I'm good.
Thank you.
Are you okay? And
I'm
you
gonna
know,
be okay.
and you know too that you can call me
Yes, sir.
as well. So you can call.
Just not right before I get on 75 or 75.
Yes.
That wasn't your fault, though. That was the person that hit us in the behind's fault.
I was waiting to be served.
Anything for the county attorney?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Just the business part, I won't forget that. Whoever needs to hear it.
Oh, yes, ma'am. No, we have not forgotten it. Speaking of that, I think the DOT guys have been out doing their thing, and so they may be getting close to constructing the roadway through there and connecting to 27, which will substantially change the opportunities the county has with that property, that, the completion of that roadway will make a very big difference to the county's.
So we're on our way to get a PD.
Absolutely, as soon as we know what road we got. Do what now?
Nitty gritty?
We're getting to the gritty.
You're still on 20 yards off.
I'll never say that again. I'll never have an opportunity to say it again.
I was going to report on the road on the business park. FDOT, has expressed the first phase of that intersection. They're doing some turn lane work, and I think we see them out there doing that now. And then in phase 2 is when they're actually going to do the work on that roadway, through the business park. They've been out there surveying, I've seen them several times out there. So they are moving forward on construction of the road through the business park, which I think is good news.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have anything else.
I know it's finally coming through. Connie, did you have anything you want to say?
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. Just to repeat what I said at the CCPWA about the delegation hearing being December 18th, and the time is, will start will be 1:30, similar to the afternoon like they did before. The formal announcement has not been made. I called and inquired about it, and that's how I found out about it. So we've prepared a draft document of the priorities. We're going to work with June on finalizing it and getting it in proper order to be able to share with the legislative delegation.
Something that I think we need to add on there is County Road 74, asking them to help us in any way possible to get that, the state to take it over. I had some discussions with FDOT at one time, and they told us that if we would bring it up to state standards, they would take it back. Now, that was just one employee of FDOT. I don't have it in writing or anything, but I just want to have a discussion with them. I mean, I don't even know what that would cost, but maybe we could get funding from them to bring it up to that standard, and then say FDOT, here it is, take it back. Because I was told the other day in a meeting that the only property owner on 74 in our county is Lights Brothers, so it's not like we're using that road as a residential highway. It's all for commerce. It has nothing to do with Glades County other than people driving back and forth to, I mean, Glades County citizens do drive back and forth, but the majority of the traffic on that road has nothing to do with the people that live there, so.
Okay.
That's, but I would like to get that conversation started somehow and see.
Maybe a formal letter of request to DOT Secretary
That might be a start.
as a beginning. As you know, it won't happen overnight, but that might be.
And he'll probably throw it back as a paper airplane.
And then,
But,
and then, when you come up to Tallahassee, you can maybe make arrangements for,
because it's pretty bad when a small county is us, we can't even take care of our citizens' road, and we're having to spend all of our money out there patching a road that, like I say, it's commerce road, it's not our personal road, so.
we're happy to help with that.
Okay.
Absolutely. Do you have any questions for me? The grants, quarterly reports are all done, they're in compliance, everything's set. And as we found out tonight, US 27 is almost done, so we'll be doing a final payment request once all the as-built and everything are, the final deliverables are available. And that project will be wrapping up as far as the break goes. So if you have any questions for me? All right, thank you very much.
Department heads, I don't see, just Sean is in here.
I don't have anything.
Commissioner's items, Commissioner Sapp.
June, what's the, I'm sorry, Mrs. Fisher,
That's okay, I'm June.
what's the progress on Crested Acres in Cornelius?
I thought the contractor was going to be out there this week. I will check to see where they're at. But my understanding was they were supposed to start, they're supposed to be out there this week.
Okay. And, have you heard of this organization called DSNAP? It's a, supplemental nutrition assistance program for hurricane victims. Have you heard about that?
I have heard, in past lives, I have heard, I have not heard that they've made it available to us yet.
Okay. So it is possible if we're,
It is possible, I have not heard that they've made it available yet.
okay. That's it.
Tina?
Just since the hurricanes, people have been reaching out about why isn't this place used for shelter? Why is it that place? And they've had different ideas, but I've let them know that they need to be rated and certified. So what is the process for that? Because I had someone mentioned about the high school and the iTech building, the grades iTech, and some of the community centers. Is that a big process to have the buildings rated so they can be certified for shelters?
What we do is we contact Red Cross and they send their engineers they review the building plans and they actually do an on-site inspection to see if they could rate those buildings as shelters. So, I mean, if we have some specifically, we can get with Red Cross.
One at the community center in Washington Park, someone mentioned that.
And I'm pretty sure those buildings were built hurricane ready, just like the one in Muse is hurricane, but I don't know if it's actually been certified. But the only problem that I foresee in those smaller buildings like that, just like Washington Park, it can only hold so many. And then if you open it up, so we have to have volunteers to come in and run the thing. But what do you do if they say you can only hold 30 people and you have 50 people show up? Who do you pick? Who's going to go in and who's not? You know, that's the big. I mean, this new school's coming in here. That would be great if we could use it. But I had to talk to people in Buckhead last night. They're like, well, why don't we have a storm shelter here in Buckhead? And I said, well, in the past, before they did all the work on the levee, and I don't know if it will change or not, but if a Cat 5 came in, they always issued evacuation orders to anybody living around the lake because they're afraid that it was going to overflow the dike. So if you got all these people in a shelter right next to the levee, and at 10 o'clock that night it turns into a Cat 5, then you got to transport them away. So that's basically why we've been trying to keep them out at West Glades. They're farther away and everything's out there. But I could see the point where nobody wants to travel that far away from their home. They don't want to leave. And so you end up with people staying in little trailers. And that last storm, I had a whole bunch of people up there in little fifth wheel trailers in this park, and they stayed. Luckily nothing happened to them, but they're not going to leave their home. And I don't even know if we had a shelter if they leave, to be honest with you. They probably bang on the door when the roof blew off. But it's a tough schedule. I've told the people some of the people in Washington Park have talked to me about it. I said, if you're willing to set up something to take care of it, I don't see where we can't, but I don't know what you're going to do about when 50 people show up and it says you can only hold 40. That's going to be a tough decision.
We also have a problem with staffing. Not only do they need volunteers, but
I know Sean Krosky, she's Red Cross certified, so she's.
We are also required to have the sheriff's department and an EMS at each of the shelters.
Okay. All right, I'll have more information then, so that I can let these people know because.
Well, I know even.
So I even mentioned the health department.
Yeah, and I've seen, like, there was a thing on Facebook in Ortona that says, here we're all down here, we ain't got no power, the community center is running, the generator's running over there, there's nobody here. That's like, it doesn't make sense, but
that's it, I just thought I would mention it too. If there may be, I forgot this before, just a really short answer, or just a question. I know that, Ms. June was able to give the Maple Grove a temporary MOU. Have we made that? Is that finalized? Where it's not?
It's still temporary.
Still temporary.
Expires November 30th, the end of this hurricane season, and we'll have to work with them to actually have a longer term.
Okay.
that in that special meeting, she didn't do it, we voted.
We did it. Well, she brought it to us, I should say.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it to us. I remember now.
But,
I still give you the credit. I'm done.
you're done? I don't have a whole lot either. I would like to thank county staff and their EOC especially for all the stuff that they've done during this storm. It was kind of
Yes.
it was a really hectic deal with, I mean, I had people calling me the next day after the storm came through, and they're down there with gloves, and they're wanting to start picking up trash and helping these people, but those people, I mean, I told them, is the owner there, because their livelihood's in that pile of garbage right there that you're digging through, and if something comes up missing, they're gonna think you took it. You know? I mean, you gotta give them enough time to get in there and get established, but, and I know there was some stuff going on last weekend that, you know, we can get FEMA in here, and the county had already had scheduled DOT to be there that Tuesday, and it's like, they're, you know, everybody's wanting to help, but we have a fine staff at EOC that everything you do has to go through a mission plan through that thing from the state, or they're not gonna send you nothing, but I do appreciate everybody that went down there and helped, and then there was like, people calling me up, we need tarps. Well, we had the National Guard down there at the boat ramp handing out tarps. We had our EOC had tarps in a house down there right on site.
Right.
But people didn't know where to get them, you know. So we need to have a little meeting after this of, you know, go over what happened and what we can do to make that, you know, I don't know. It's just like Buckhead. I think we need to have like at the at the fire department or something, some kind of billboard up there that you can put notes in there so everybody knows after a storm, you go here, if you ain't got no you know, and just like news, you could put it out there at the community center so that the county could put stuff out there for people that don't have phone service, whatever, and say, here's where we're handing out food, here's where we're doing this, here's where we're doing that, because it really gets mixed up in the end. But and the county did go down there and they cleaned the streets out, and then we had people that were like, well, the county's not down here helping these people move the stuff off their property, which the county's not allowed to go on somebody's property, their private property, and do that. But there was a group of private citizens went down there and they did a great job of helping those people in the end. But and there would have been, you can apply for it through the state that the feds will come in and clean the property, but you got to do it in the proper procedure. But so I know DOT has been down there picking up the garbage, and they made their first round. I think they're going to come back again and do it again, which DOT is not for the county. They're doing it on their dime. I'm pretty sure Governor DeSantis told them that you need to help out these small counties. So if we would have had to bring our contractors in, we would have to put that money up front and then pay them, and then we would have to apply and get our money back. Plus we would have had to hire, what's the guy that the bean counters, whatever, that look in the trucks, the monitors and all that stuff. So with DOT coming in, they can do it a lot quicker and a lot faster and be on site and get it done. So, like I say, I'm very happy with, I'm not happy the way the storm went through, but I'm happy with what the county has done to try to help those people down there. And we're still down there helping them every day. But I mean, FEMA's down there. I've walked through there 3 or 4 times, and it's hard to find somebody there that's actually, you might find 2 people that are actually there that live there that are working on their place or doing something. But, and I think that's, you know, and so I asked the people, I said, well, what do you need? Oh, I don't need nothing. I'm staying with my friend. I said, yeah, but 2 weeks from now, your friend's going to say, hey, I think it's time for you to move on, and you need to find someplace. So hopefully they're talking to FEMA and trying to get some housing and doing what they need to do. But I came by there Saturday. I seen FEMA out there again. They were out there with their notebook taking stuff down. So we're not being, for us being a small county, we have gotten a lot of stuff. United Way came in. They got the Red Cross down there. Red Cross was down there handing out tarps, handing out food. I went down there the first day, and the guy said, well, they're not telling, I told one of the Red Cross truck, I said, blow your horn, act like you're the ice cream man, holler out, tarps, hot dogs, whatever you got. So you start doing that, you know, so, but we did have a good response for this small county. And I appreciate everything that even Senator Tuck and, or not Senator, Representative Tuck and Senator Grawl had called me and said, you know, what do we need? So it was out there, but that was just something. But
and I handed out some tarps myself, but like you said, mostly the people there, I went the day after, and was the fire chief. So
Yeah.
that was an experience, and we went and got several tarps from the volunteer fire
And then-
department and passed them out to whoever we could. Most of those places were beyond tarps, so on Fisherman's Lane.
And we even had, where the National Guard was, somebody went down there that night and stole all the tables and all the stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
But the sheriff's department did catch them and they brought it back. They had a camera down there, believe it or not, but that was kind of, the guy said he thought it was all free.
Oh, he said, "Oh, this is free."
And he lived in Buckhead Ridge. So,
Oh, my goodness.
anyway, but, anyway, I appreciate Old County, that everybody that was involved. I know everybody had something in, you know, there's always something that goes storm that we don't see. That's happening behind the scenes, but anyway, that's all I've really got. Anything else before we close? All right, we're done. We are adjourned at 8:10.